This is an SM Media production. Hi everyone and welcome to the 5th episode of the Scottish Football Show right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike, I'm the host as always, delighted to be here again. This week we're going to just run through the Old Firm that happened over the weekend where Rangers ran over 2-0 comfortably against Celtic at Parkhead. Joining me to discuss this we have Galston's finest, Marc Wilson. Marc, how are we doing, mate?
Hi Scott, how are you?
Not bad. And we've also got the pride
I don't think Galston would appreciate that.
Nah, no, they wouldn't, no. And also we've got the pride of Parkhead. We've got the man who basically just Celtic through and through. Aaron Lyell. Aaron, thanks very much for coming on the show, mate. How are you?
No danger, mate. I'm all good. Yourself?
Aye. Basically just...
Taking it easy.
Taking it easy. Wild game. I can't describe it enough. Just... I'll start with you, Marc. What was your overall thoughts in the game, just from the perspective, just looking at it, just with the result and how both teams set out to play the game?
Well, to be honest, I don't think you can say anything other than Rangers were by far the better team on the day. I don't think they could have, ran up a cricket score as some folk were suggesting, but their game plan, their tactics, their work ethic, etc., were spot on. It's always obviously tough going to your biggest rivals in a big game, but they got everything was spot on, and I'm quite sure Steven Gerrard and the Rangers team were delighted with the performance and the result.
And obviously at the start, like Friday night, we were hearing the kind of news of the leaked team. The Celtic team was getting leaked, and it had Welsh, like Laxalt and Klimala starting. Nobody really took that seriously, though. That's what got me. Like, anytime you were hearing on Friday night, it was, right, that's the team. But we were all hearing that Edouard would be fit. We were all hearing that. Aaron, what did you kind of make out when you saw the Celtic team coming out?
I was surprised with that Welsh boy getting chucked in, especially for his second game, just getting launched in straight at the back. I was hoping Eddie would be fit, but didn't happen.
And
I was surprised. Sorry.
No, on you go. I'm just thinking, like, do you think, I'll throw this at both of you, do you think if the players had been fit, it would have changed how Celtic had set up? Or would they still went 3-5-2? Because I think that was a mistake straight away, if you ask me.
To be honest, I think they would have still went 3-5-2, to be honest. But that Lyell, I was very surprised that he got chucked in straight away in the first game.
And Marc as well, like, I'll throw this at you as well. Do you think 3-5-2 was the way to go? Like, do you think?
Well, going on your first point, I don't buy into the excuse of the team line was leaked. Neil Lennon has been playing 3-5-2, so that came as no surprise to Celtic supporters or probably Rangers supporters or the Rangers team. But if you look at other sports, like for example the rugby at the Six Nations, they put their team out on a Thursday before the game on a Sunday. So that doesn't fly with me, to be honest with you. And I'm quite sure Gerrard and his coaching team and Lennon and his coaching team were anticipating, different lineups, etc., and made to guess. But at the end of the day, that's what you're up against. Now, of course, you can counter a 3-5-2 and a 4-3-3, because that for me says that we've got 5 guys in the middle of the park against your 3 guys.
Aye.
So if Frimpong and Laxalt tuck in, then it should have been easy for Celtic. But what they did was they got behind the ball. They put Barker, obviously, to try and counter Frimpong's pace, and obviously Kent, who plays very well in all Old Firm games, and Celtic couldn't get out, But as I say, Gerrard has been known that Celtic are playing 3-5-2, so no shocks there, and I'm sorry, no excuse that the team or the team lineup was leaked, because it didn't. If you look at the personnel, it was obviously going to be 3-5-2.
I agree with that. What I'll say as well is that the fact that when you notice really early on, we're talking about this in Sky, Tavernier and Barisic don't tuck in very often. They get forward as soon as the first ball's kicked. They didn't on Saturday. They tucked in. They didn't let Frimpong and Laxalt get forward, and that's a big thing for Celtic with 2 wing backs. does it obviously that nullified the back three? But do you see as well the point of that boy Welsh hasn't played in a game like that. How can you expect a boy, 19-year-old, to play in that kind of game where he's not played with Duffy, not played with they've not played together. How hard is that for a boy of 19 to come in and play in that kind of game?
Well, to be honest, I don't buy into that either, Scott. If I'm honest, if Neil Lennon thinks you're good enough, I don't care if you're 17 or 74, you'll play.
Aye.
Okay. Now
Definitely.
You can look at it two ways. You can look at this boy now, probably for the last week or so since the guy's been back for international duty. They will have spent every single day in training working with that back three and that young boy. He's obviously good enough in the 20s or the reserves to play, so he's good enough he plays. Or you can look at it another way, and this is a common thing with elite managers. That could be Neil Lennon turning around to Peter Lyell saying, "This is all I've got for an Old Firm game."
Yeah.
Now, again, you would probably love, I don't care if you're a Motherwell fan or a Kilmarnock fan, a United fan, everybody would love to have sampled and played an Old Firm game. Okay? And that's 19-year-old boys come in. There was no fans there. Yes, it's still a massive game, but with 60,000 or 50,000 people cheering you on and 10,000 people booing you, whatever the numbers are, then it's a big thing. To come into a game like that, yes, it's big, but without the crowd, and I thought he coped well. I thought he coped very well, to be honest.
I thought he was fine. I thought he was one of the only few players who could give pass
as I say, I kind of do think, and Aaron may totally disagree, but I do think that was maybe Neil Lennon saying to Peter Lyell, "I don't have a big squad here. I'm needing players come January."
Well, it was kind of bare. Like the defending, it was kind of bare with the personnel they had at the back leading up to that game. So you could be right enough there.
But I'm not a massive fan of three at the back anyway. But with those three players, they're all very good players. They've had a bad game, so let's not be too critical.
Yeah.
But going back to what Scott's point was, now for me, Frimpong's quality is his pace, right? So what should have happened was he shouldn't have been too worried about Barker. He should have pushed himself onto Barisic to try and pin them back. But if you watch back the game, every time Frimpong got the ball, he just knocked it back to Welsh to tube into one of the strikers. Now, any winger, whether you're at grassroots football, professional football, you go to your full-back the first few minutes to try and get a taste. Yeah. If you can't get by him, then you start dumping it back or playing into strikers' feet. But you go at him a few times. Now, Barisic's a very, very good player, right? Yeah. But is he as quick as Frimpong? Probably not.
No chance.
Okay, and that's for me. Where Frimpong himself, as I say, I've not been impressed in any game he's played, apart from one game at Kilmarnock where he ripped us to shreds with his pace. But at the end of the day, what does he bring? Usain Bolt didn't make it as a footballer just because he could run fast. And I'm starting to see that with Frimpong. I say Aaron may have better stats than me, but I'm thinking, what does he actually bring?
Well, when you look at it, you look at how Rangers set out. I thought when Rangers team came out, I thought it would be the exact way it was. I thought Hadji would have played instead of Barker. But now, when I've spoke to people who understand the way how Barker was playing. Barker was there to nullify Frimpong, as you say. Now that can come out as right. That's fine. But Rangers, Gerrard got it spot on for start to finish. He just got it. He got it spot on. He just flooded the midfield. When you ask me, we're looking at 9 minutes in. Goldson gives Rangers a lead. For me, the goalkeeper has to do better. I think that's the big thing. I think Celtic have downgraded massively from Foster to Barkas. Do you agree with me on that? Or?
Oh, 100%. They should have just paid the fee for him, but the sounds that he wanted to stay down in Southampton and fight for a place.
Because for me, Foster gets that. For me, Foster saves that.
Yeah, but see, for me, Craig Gordon saves that.
Aye,
Scott Bain saves that.
Scott Bain saves that.
Aye, definitely.
And again, this is where, and I know I've spoke obviously before the show to you, Scott. This is why I'm questioning. Now, again, you can lose an Old Firm game. You could have lost in the last minute, which maybe sometimes makes it worse rather than an absolute hiding. But I'm starting to look at the Craig Gordon situation, and I'm thinking, why on earth was he allowed to leave? I'm thinking when Scott Bain came in and played the games last year when Foster wasn't playing, he was excellent, capped for his country. Now, all of a sudden, Gordon's playing first division football, Bain's on the bench, and they bring in a 4.5 million goalkeeper who's not made a notable save anywhere, but they can't spend £2 million on John McGinn the year previous.
But there's the point. You've just confirmed a point to me that I've said for years. Brendan Rodgers was gonna go to Celtic board and say, if you don't back me, I'm out of here. Neil Lennon gets £2 million for that boy's sorrow. He's not a sniff.
Terrible.
Ayeti, $5 million. I think Ayeti's been pretty good. Turnbull's £2.5 million. Taylor's $2 million. Nobody can tell me Neil Lennon's not been backed, but you need to
yes.
You need to look.
I 100% agree. Now, if I was Peter Law, I wouldn't give Neil Lennon money to spend, judging by his signings.
I wouldn't either, but that was the whole thing with Neil Lennon the first time round. Neil Lennon was this excellent recruitment guy who got in Wanyama, Van Dijk, Hooper. We heard it all, how good it was in the transfer market, and I'm not disagreeing with that in the slightest. But you can't tell me that he's not been backed because he's brought players in there and they're just no good enough. But it looks it.
Right, so you say that, and yes, absolutely. He got the likes of your Virgil van Dijks, etc. But look who else he signed. Okay? Right? Bangura, El Kaduri, Andre Blackman, Rabu Ibrahim. Okay? Amido Balde. Okay? So
a lot of duds in that list there.
Aye, Timo Pukki. Okay? Dirk Borentinger, whatever his name is. Okay? So let's think about it. So if you sign 30 players, you're maybe going to get 3 or 4 good ones.
Aye.
If you sign 5 players, you might get 1 good one. So let's not rave about Neil Lennon signing Wanyama, Virgil van Dijk, etc. Let's look at all these signings collectively. And if you look at 30 players and 4 are good enough and 26 aren't, then for me that's not good enough.
Aye, but then I'll turn it round to the other way of looking at it. Steven Gerrard has had 2.5 years to build a team. The first thing that struck me when I saw the Rangers bench was how strong it was. So Rangers had great options to come off the bench. Now, a year ago you weren't saying that because if Morelos or Defoe were injured, there was nobody else to come on and replace them. Now you've got Itten, Roof to come back, Aribo to come back. There's plenty of options there when Rangers are concerned. So I think you've got to give Gerrard credit as well for his recruitment. I'm not saying as well, there's some, Gerrard won't get everything right with sort of like Grezda, Sadiq. There's players there who won the uptick, but Gerrard's done better in the transfer market. He's done well in the transfer market probably every transfer window he's had. Right.
Okay, I agree he's done better, but in 2.5 years, what has he won? What have the players Steven Gerrard signed, what have they won? They've got to one cup final, okay? And they've been miles behind in the league and other games. So is his recruitment that good?
Well, that's what we're there to find. That's what we'll see. That's where.
Well, I'm quite sure if he was to leave, he'd get good money for Ryan Kent. I'll be honest, I think he should have cashed in on Morales, and I think that's why he signed Roof and Itten.
Yeah,
because I think they thought Morales was away.
Yeah, I'm going to come on to that as well.
But again, and I don't know if it was Gerrard that brought him back or not, and not that we saw a lot of him on Saturday, but the whole spine of your team comes from your goalkeeper. And now, Alan McGregor is a world-class goalkeeper. Not was, is. Yeah. In the same way that I see Craig Gordon is a world-class goalkeeper. And if you have a world-class goalkeeper, Alan McGregor, you could have 4 numpties at the back. Yeah. Now, and I know we go on sometimes about, they have one bad game and we slaughter them, one good game and we praise them. Okay? I'm sure a lot of Rangers fans would have been waiting for a game like that from Connor Goulson because I don't think he's consistently good from what I see in highlights and things.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
And the criticism Tavernier gets quite a lot on social media from Rangers fans when they lose is a bit OTT as well. But he gets away with it because he scores free kicks and penalties. So you've got a right back that's scoring 20 goals. Barisic has certainly improved towards the end of last season and this season. And the European games suit him. He plays very well in those games. And then I say he's flipped between Edmundson, Hollander, at the back. And Hollander's kind of made it himself just now. But as I say, I think Gerrard has lasted as long because of his European record and not because of his consistency in the SPL.
Aaron, I'll touch on you with this with you as well. Like, Goldson gives Rangers the lead after 9 minutes, but El Yunusi misses a golden chance to make it one each. What's he doing? B, does that change the game if he scores that?
I don't know what he was thinking. Who does he think he is, Larson? Just slot it. Why is he going to be so fancy with it?
To me, all he has to do is bring that down and side foot in.
Just slot it.
But as well, I'll ask again. Do you feel that changes the game? Because to me, that just makes Rangers open up more.
I mean, you slot that. That's one each. Goes anywhere for there. It can go anywhere for there. You can get a second win right off that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as soon as it sailed over, it was kind of set. Mm-hmm. You've seen his head dropping, definitely.
Aye, and just moving on to the kind of other bits of the first half.
That's a good point, Aaron. Sorry, Scott, that's a good point. I actually think his head dropped because, and again, whether it's tactics or not, see if you look at the ball coming in for Goldson's goal. Now, you've got Hollander and Goldson. Mm-hmm. Who should be marking Hollander and Goldson?
Exactly.
Duffy and Ayer.
Exactly.
Who's marking them? Celtic, El Yunusi and Brown.
Mm-hmm. Well, Duffy, the thing with Duffy, I'm going to touch on Shane Duffy later on because he was probably the biggest disappointment as far as I was concerned for Celtic. But that to me just looks like bad intelligence because you can see it's just poor the way he just lets Goldson's sitting offside. Goldson's 2 yards offside just before that ball gets played. All Shane Duffy has to do is look alongside and see Goldson's there, right? Why am I stepping in? Do you know what I mean?
Well, see, unless they've worked on that, because that's if a ball's come in, defenders will drop. But the fact is, Goldson is still 3-4 yards from Duffy, mm-hmm. and El Yunusi is the closest man.
Aye, definitely.
Now, you can make a mistake, you can put your hand up, but absolutely, if Neil Lennon has told Brown and El Yunusi to mark those two, then it's another nail in the coffin for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it should be Duffy and Ayer on their two centre halves.
Mm-hmm. And it was as well as I've said this to a lot of people I've spoke to over the past couple of days. Rangers were nowhere near their best up front. Barker, Morelos, and Kent didn't have a brilliant game. You could only really say Kent was the one getting anything going, but I'd say Barker was pretty. I think the game probably got too much for him in the end. Morelos, I thought, was just a spare man. Morelos was poor for me. I've heard people saying his link-up play was good, but I just never. I think at times you can see how good he is with his build-up play, but half the time he's building up play and putting the ball in, and there's nobody there because he's the one bringing it in. That's what gets me with Morelos. But for me, for Celtic, it's a concern the fact that Rangers went flat after 20 minutes and Celtic get nothing going. They just get nothing going. But why do you think they struggled before half-time? Why do you think they get nothing going?
Who, Rangers?
Both teams. I would say both teams because I'd say both teams were pretty flat for 20 minutes to
again, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it two ways. Did actually Welsh, Duffy and Ayer actually play well to nullify those three? No. Or did Laxalt and Frimpong play well to nullify them?
No. But I think they're pretty flat. I think
but again, pretty flat. That for me, this comes from the lack of crowd. Now, yeah. If those three guys, now as I didn't think Kent was particularly bad. Barker's maybe just spent his time running chasing Frimpong.
Yeah.
Morelos is putting himself about and link up play, one touch play was decent. But if you get 50,000 folks shouting at you, you know, you up your game a wee bit.
Well,
okay, if there's a big crowd in there to silence, then I'm sure these guys. But does it show you how far possibly Rangers are ahead that they can win with three of their better players not performing?
Mm-hmm. But what was the big start of the game? The big start of the game was the four Celtic players that touched the ball the most. Duffy top, Ayer, Welsh, then Brown. See if there's a crowd there. Do they get as much time in the ball?
Yeah, because the Rangers' game plan, Rangers will just sit in. Now, and that's perfectly acceptable. I'm not saying a smaller team, you don't get complaints about that, but if Kilmarnock or Motherwell or Dundee United go to Parkhead or Ibrox, what do? You sit in. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you try and rely on a counter-attack that Steve Clark was very good at Kilmarnock at, or as you've seen with Scotland, or set pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's what teams do when they go to Parkhead or Ibrox. And Rangers could have done that to a certain extent. They scored from a set piece. Then Rangers don't have to change the game. So if you're winning, you don't have to chase it.
No.
I actually think Rangers, and you just mentioned earlier, Tavernier and Barisic tucked in a bit, expecting an onslaught and keep it tight, and they didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, so Rangers don't go have to chase the game.
Mm-hmm. But when they come back for half time, are you surprised that Neil Lennon didn't change anything?
Yes, and it's my biggest bugbearer, being involved in coaching and managing. See, if you're winning, you can make a sub striker for striker, centre mid for centre mid.
Yes.
See, if you're losing, you have to change it. Mm-hmm. It's not working, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was famous, you guys are a wee bit young, certainly, but when Jimmy Calderwood was the Dunfermline manager, now Dunfermline were decent, but they still weren't a Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen. Yeah. See, if they were losing, he would go a 2-4-4
mm-hmm.
and just let the two centre halves, Marc, just go man for man and push it right on. So he changed it. Now, going striker for striker, centre mid for centre mid, it's not doing anything.
No.
What Lennon relying on was he possibly thinks that individually, the player that they're up against, the Celtic player's better than.
Yeah.
And I say that's why I spoke to you earlier, Scott. Is it tactically naive to think that? Just sign better players and they can work? Because man for man, again, it's up for debate. I would think individually, over a long period of time, Celtic have better individuals out with the goalkeeping situation.
Yeah.
But as a team, Rangers showed that they were miles ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing was the Rangers team look as if they are coached. Mm-hmm. The Celtic team don't. It's like we've got better players, so we'll beat them.
Mm-hmm. And who kind of stood out for Rangers in the Rangers team? Who was the kind of standouts for you both in the Rangers team?
Again, it was a lot of off the ball running. I thought Scott Arfield did well, but he wasn't getting the ball, but he was still making himself available. Kamara was neat and tidy on the ball, good range of passing, etc. But again, and this is what Aaron will be worried about. I don't think Rangers were out of second gear.
No, I don't think they were either. I thought that at the time,
and they won the game.
I said that.
That's for any football fan. If that's your team, would be a worry.
Mm-hmm. Well, Aaron, aye. On you go, Marc. Sorry.
So is Aaron there? Is it?
Aye.
Fell asleep listening to me?
On you
I've
go,
just
Aaron.
been listening. The first 5-10 minutes, Kent was all over us. It was giving me the fear how good he was playing the first 5-10, and then after that he dropped off. Like you said, Marc, Arfield, he was class, just zinging passes everywhere. Kamara again. Aye, it was kind of painful to watch, to be honest, after the first half hour.
I thought Kamara was excellent. I thought Kamara just strolled the game. I thought all the midfield did. The only Celtic players I would give pass marks to was Callum McGregor, because I think Callum McGregor was the only one trying to get anything going. To me, and Cham was sitting in the hole in the midfield, and he would rather be anywhere else. He would rather be sitting with me than rather be in the game. That's what I thought all game.
Right? And Cham needs to play as a sitter, as a 6 at the top of the diamond, or as a 10.
Yeah,
and behind the strikers.
Right.
Okay, I don't think he can. I don't think he can play in there in a 3.
Right.
To be fair, I thought Scott Brown was okay. He looked as if, and that's the point I was going to make. Now you'll do your interviews with ex-professional footballers. Now I was never that. I can guarantee you that. But see, if you're rubbish, you work your socks off.
Definitely.
And just try to help your team.
Couldn't
and that was missing from 9 to 10 Celtic players. And again, that's what takes me back to the manager. If he doesn't have the tactics, right, and the players aren't motivated, what's he doing all week? What if you can't win? If Celtic are not running through a brick wall for Neil Lennon, then there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same. If the Rangers players, they maybe weren't at the best level at the time, but if they weren't running through a brick wall for Kishinya, they weren't running through a brick wall for Warburton, there's only one outcome.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing as well. I would say you're touching on players that weren't really kind of at it. I would say folk have said to me Laxalt was good. I thought Laxalt got outclassed. I thought he was disappointing. I said that at the time. I said I don't understand this signing. If Greg Taylor's obviously Kieran Tierney's very, very difficult to replace. can't disagree with that. He's very, very difficult to replace. But Bolingoli hasn't worked out. Greg Taylor gets so much stick for the Celtic fans. Like, I don't get it, because I don't get the Taylor stick, because I think there is a player there. But Laxalt, to me, just wasn't at the races. It just looked, just was flat. It didn't look as if he was getting anything going to me. And I've heard folks say, yeah, he was Celtic's best player. I wasn't watching that same game.
Well, I'm a season ticket holder at Kilmarnock, and Greg Taylor was our best player for 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, I remember
and
Greg Taylor.
Greg Taylor was dropped because of the abuse he gets from Celtic fans.
Do you think that's what it is, or do you think it's the fact Lennon doesn't trust?
No, he's reacted to the fans. 100% he's reacted to the fans, because Taylor does get a lot of criticism. Now, and I know Kelly's a different level slightly. My criticism of Greg Taylor is he never ever uses his right foot.
Yeah.
It's always cut back. Mm-hmm. Okay? But Greg Taylor's as good a left back as Celtic are going to get. But again, another signing in Bolingoli, no good enough. Mm-hmm. Now, the boy Laxalt's only had one game. He might turn into the new Kieran Tierney, I don't know.
Right, that's what we don't know. But...
And again, it comes down to the management, Scott. You've got a boy that's probably not played since March, and you throw him in to an Old Firm game on his debut. Mm-hmm. That's not good management for me.
There's times where that works, and there's times where it doesn't. And I can count in one hand the amount of times it works, throwing a player in for his Old Firm debut. I remember Freddie Lundberg getting his debut against Rangers years ago for Celtic. He was one of the best players you'll see, but so far off the boil because he hasn't played. Now, we can understand the fact there's no fans, fair enough, but it's still a massive game. There's still massive pressure.
100%. Totally agree.
To me, we'll touch on the Morelos thing quickly. I just want to... Do any of you think that's a red card, what he does in Scott Brown?
No.
Be honest.
No. Never.
Absolutely not. That Scott Brown doesn't even think it's a red card.
No. I've heard today. I've heard wee things today that there is an investigation up. To me, that's just ridiculous.
No.
To me, it's
completely ridiculous.
But
again, and sometimes, sometimes, you know, if that was Ryan Kent, then nothing would be made of it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I would agree with that.
That's annoying. I even felt Morales had a challenge on Duffy. I think in the first half, when he kind of buzzed into his ribs, the referee's like, "That's your warning." Mm-hmm. He did the same thing again in the second half and was rightly booked.
Yeah, and immediately they took
him off. For the tap on the ear. No, that's ridiculous.
It's poor. But
that's another good point. Sorry to take over your show, Scott.
No, run it on, you go.
The first booking, and again, see when you're losing, you're getting frustrated, you're getting anxious, and you don't go about kicking folk. But the first booking wasn't till the hour mark, and it was Kamara. Mm-hmm. And now that tells me, again, rubbish at football. You can maybe ask the professional players interview this. Alan Mahood was probably a good one to ask. Go and put a tackle in to G everybody up.
Yeah.
Go and get yourself involved. Mm-hmm. Go and just push somebody away from the ball, or you know, a wee bit of dig in there to try and set the tone. And it was so flat, so flat.
One of the big players to me who was pretty flat was Shane Duffy. Now, when Shane Duffy came in, I was like, yeah, that's a great signing for Celtic. Premier League experience. He's got that hard man ability. To me, he was just off it. I don't know if it was the pressure of the game, but to me, he was off it. What do you think of that? Do you agree with me? Or?
He was horrendous. Considering the past couple of games, he's been playing very well, I'd say, and just wasn't up to it. Then.
Mm-hmm. And Goldson makes it too.
He had been playing international games, as a lot of them had. I mean, it's no excuse. Now, I didn't think he was particularly bad. He made a mistake for the first goal, and I think that got to him a wee bit. Was he not a former teammate of Goldson's at Brighton? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of got to him a wee bit. And again, I think the occasion can get you, and I think it used to get to guys like Ali McCoist and Barry Ferguson and Tommy Burns, Neil Lennon as players. The occasion got to him because he's now thinking, I've made a mistake in my Old Firm debut and we're losing. Mm-hmm. I think that played in his conscience a wee bit. You saw, I'm sure you've seen on Twitter the meme, he's kicking the ball out the park and he's sitting with his head in his hands because you're thinking the centre half that I should be marking has scored 2 goals and we've lost the game.
Yeah. But to me, though, that's more a case of Shane Duffy is trying to get it going, is trying to get something going, but there's nothing sticking. I get that point of view. We'll move on to the second goal. Goldson doubles his scoring tally and doubles Rangers' lead. To me, this is a really good bit of football, but to me, if you're a centre half, you're getting rid of that. But you're getting rid of that ball anywhere. To me, that's what I think anyway. Goldson should never get a second chance at that.
Yeah, and the finish as well. I mean,
it's a great finish.
I think the keeper again can do better.
Yeah, I think that as well.
I know it just kind of trundles in, and I say, but again, you need to stop the full back's job, and that's where a 3 can be limited. You need to stop crossing into the box.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's different a free kick, but crossing into the box, you're like, and as I said, it must be defended better. Clear your lines, and I'm not a big fan of this. I was watching the match of the day and all these things, and the Sunday, all these teams passing out for the back. You know, even the likes of Ramos and Piqué are making mistakes at it.
Yeah.
You know, and in games like that, you don't want to make mistakes. Let's get the ball upfield and play the percentages game to you're out. You're not under the same amount of pressure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But Celtic... On you go. But when you're saying that, like, do you think Celtic bring on 5 subs? They bring on Ayeti, Griffiths, Rogic, Turnbull, Taylor. They don't make a bit of difference. That's poor. That's poor to me. That the fact that not one of those
shape either.
No, it keeps it exactly the same. To me, what you do there is you go 4-2-3-1. You try and nullify Rangers. You try and stop Rangers, even if it doesn't suit the way individuals, as you say. That's a big thing for me. But Celtic, James Forrest is injured. They don't have a right winger to replace him. That's why
they played Frimpong there.
Aye, but Frimpong's not. Frimpong's
but then is Neil Lennon thinking, if I go 4-3-3 or 3 whatever it is, does he think I don't want to get beat 5-0 today for Rangers at Parkhead? 2-0 is not acceptable, but it's more acceptable than 5-0.
Mm-hmm. But how easy did Rangers make it? Do you think it was more a case of Celtic were poor or Rangers controlled the game?
Oh, Rangers controlled the game. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I do think, and I'm the first one to criticise, I actually don't think Rangers have had enough praise for winning the game.
Yeah, they are.
Now maybe they've learnt from mistakes, last year when they celebrated the league flag in December when they won at Parkhead. Now, but again, that could come with the euphoria of the supporters. But all I've seen all week, and Scott, you're on my social media pages, is how bad Celtic were.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're giving Rangers enough credit.
No.
And again, I'm sure if you ask Steven Gerrard, he'll say we weren't great. We did well, but we weren't great. Now you'll see, and again, Rangers have a slightly easier game on Thursday. You'll probably see Rangers could play a hell of a lot better on Thursday and lose the game.
Mm-hmm. But what happens?
And that, if I was a Celtic supporter, I'd be thinking, we've been really poor and we've been beat by a really poor Rangers team. That would be my worry.
Aaron, would you go with that?
It was like you were saying, Scott, it's a bit of both. Celtic were absolutely spineless most of that game, and Rangers won at their best, but got the result. And
we'll move on. I'll move on to kind of the whole game. Like, who takes the blame for that, for the Celtic point of view? I'll go this for Celtic in stages, and then we'll move on to the Rangers in stages. Who takes the blame for the Celtic point of view? Is it Neil Lennon, or have you got to put the blame at the players?
I would say Lennon. I would definitely say Lennon. If they can't get geared up, if they can't get G'd up for an Old Firm game, then I don't know what's happening.
What do you think of that, Marc?
Don't understand.
100% agree. No tactics, no motivation, poor signings. That's the manager's job.
Mm-hmm. And Edouard was a massive miss, but to me, I watched the Champions League game against Ferencváros, and I said exactly the same thing as I said on Saturday. Celtic come across as a one-man team a lot of the time. When he's not there, they're a totally average team. That's what I would say. I don't know if I'm right in that, but I've not seen Celtic play a good performance this season, and I've certainly not seen Celtic play a good performance without Edouard in the team. I might be
No,
wrong.
I would disagree. They blew Dundee United away when Ayeti scored.
But they didn't play well. They won 1-0. They didn't. It took them 85 minutes to score that day.
They played well. I totally disagree with the one-man team. I mean, if you have a player like Edward, who probably is Celtic's best player, out with Callum McGregor for me, then you're going to heavily rely on that. You know, there's certain occasions. You know, every team has that kind of go-to guy, that reliant player. And if he's your goal scorer, then 9 times out of 10, it's going to be your goal scorer. Whereas if you look at possibly Rangers last season, Alan McGregor was their main player. He was saving them week in, week out. But I disagree, because I think out with the issues he's had, Lee Griffiths would score as many chances as Edward.
Yeah.
I say I'm still not buying into Klamala. I'm not really buying into Ajeti for the £5 million spent when you can't get John McGinn for $2 million. And as you say, I'm not really convinced with Lennon's signings, and maybe that's why there's over-reliance. But again, look at the press Morales got with that kind of, you know, body language, attitude, etc. Does Eddie want away? Was he promised a move and it didn't happen? I don't know, because his body language certainly seems, you know, that he's not happy with something.
I think you can say the same about a few Celtic players.
But he is a big game player. He's a big game hunter. You know, he can, in the big games, he's the one that comes to fruition because he's a good player.
But I even think from a Rangers point of view as well, like if Rangers see that team and go, right, it's Elyounoussi and Klamala up front, it doesn't strike fear in Rangers, no. I don't think. See if they see the name Edward, even if he's not fit, it's a different story as far as I'm concerned from a Rangers point of view. He's punished them in several occasions.
And that may be Neil Lennon's point about the team being leaked. It gives the Rangers defence a bit of confidence to come play for the back, etc., and, you know, take their time and all that. But see if you look at both goals, is Edouard going to make a difference? No. And look at the chances. Elyounoussi one over the bar. Edouard may score, Griffiths may score, but they do this as well.
Edouard makes that one each, in my opinion. Edouard scores that, in my opinion.
I don't think it would have made much difference. If you've got a game like that, you're looking for a Barry Ferguson, a Roy Keane, you know, that starts the players and gets them going and gets everyone motivated. You're not looking for Eddie just to notch one, you know.
So both teams have got a difficult kind of run of fixtures coming up. Celtic are away. I've got AC Milan at Parkhead, and then they're away to Aberdeen on Sunday, and then they've got the big kind of Scottish Cup semi-final the weekend after. I'll ask you both this: what constitutes as good for Neil Lennon? Does he give the league? Does he make the league the priority, or does he go for the quadruple treble? What does he sacrifice anything? Because to me, it does. A couple of results could mean the end for Lennon, in my opinion. A couple of bad results. What do you think, Aaron? I'll start with you.
Aye, like definitely a couple, maybe 2 or 3. If he was to drop points in the next 2 or 3 league games, I don't think he's got much a hope of staying there for that much longer, especially because the 10 is the ultimate goal here. So I'd happily pay off the Europa League, and to an extent maybe the Scottish Cup. They're not the priority right now.
And do you, Marc, I'll ask you this as well, and I've kind of wanted to ask you this. You remember when Rangers were going for 10 in a row? You would say Rangers blew it. You would say Rangers blew it that year. Would you agree with me? Rangers blew it. Or
I wouldn't have said necessarily blown it. I think what happened there was I think Walter Smith stayed very loyal to some of the players, which I can 100% totally understand. I think he stayed a wee bit loyal to some senior players, and it just didn't work. But again, as you guys will know better than me, going to stadiums with 50, 60,000 people in them every week, over 22 home games, whatever it was at the time, that gets you. Whether you're winning every week or no. And I think both are actually fortunate that there's no punters in just now, because I don't think up until maybe a couple of weeks ago Rangers were playing well, but then I think they struggled against Ross County. They won it. They struggled. Well, they didn't struggle against. They beat Celtic, but they weren't great. Is that the sign of champions? Not playing well but winning?
Mm-hmm. But the reason I bring up Rangers 10 in a row is, do you not see similarities with the way Celtic are playing now to that season for Rangers? Because it just, I would say, he's put a lot of trust in players who haven't been at it, the likes of Christie, McGregor, Forrest. It looks similar to me. It just looks looks as if there is a lot of trust in players who aren't warranting it now, and that's why I'm kind of bringing that up. That's what reminds me.
I think there's a massive psychological thing put on the 10 in a row, and that's what I said to you. If that's what it is, you sacrifice Europa League, sacrifice these cups, and go full throttle in your first 11, play the league games and win the league games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's maybe that's underestimating some of the other teams, because they will take points. I actually thought with no fans that Celtic and Rangers would just blitz everybody else, because when they come to Rugby Park, the fans give the home team a wee lift.
Yeah.
No, now they don't have the two stands, etc., and you get a wee lift from it. But as I say, now, without the fans, I thought they'd be steamrolling every team, which they probably have been doing most of the time. But I feel, I still think Celtic are favourites. But if that is the standard of performance they can put in, I'd be very, very worried.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to touch on Rangers, because I think Steven Gerrard and the whole Rangers team deserve a lot of credit. But would you not, Rangers, in my opinion, need to kick on playing the other 10 teams as opposed to playing Celtic? Like, I think they're better than Celtic. I think they can beat Celtic in their own at home and away, but Celtic are better against the other 10 teams. Rangers, I'll use the game against St Johnstone as an example. Celtic were very, very disappointing, very, very poor. Celtic won that game by scoring 2 goals. See, in my mind, Rangers draw that. That's the difference, in my opinion. And do you go with that? Or?
Well, I think again, as I think if the punters are in, yeah, I would go with that. But in saying that though, if you look, and I think this is for the motivation and desire that Gerrard's put into management that he had as a player. Steven Gerrard's a very, very young manager, and this is his first gig.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not to stop 10 in a row, what other club's going to take him based on his managerial? I mean, a world-class player, no doubts about it. Because he's been up, at the end of this season, he's been up there 3.5 years, is that right, Scott?
I think it's 3. I think, aye.
3?
2.5 now. 2.5.
Right. And he's won nothing. Or if he does win nothing. I don't even think a League Cup and a Scottish Cup would save Gerrard, to be honest.
I don't either.
If he doesn't, does he want to be the manager that when Celtic win 10 in a row? Absolutely not.
No, but I'll swing that round the other way. Neil Lennon, in my mind, Neil Lennon was given the job the minute Rodgers left. I don't think there was. I think Lennon was told, and I've heard this from different people. Lennon was told when Rodgers left, if you win the treble, you've got the job. That to me isn't right, because Neil Lennon wasn't the plan.
Neil Lennon, Brendan was the plan. But at the end of the day, Neil Lennon has won 5 league titles as a manager. So another team's going to take Neil Lennon before they take Steven Gerrard. Do you think that, though? Do you really think that? Because I think Gerrard would get a job in England because of who Steven Gerrard is. I don't doubt that.
But if you take Neil Lennon's track record away from Celtic, what's he really done?
Well, he made Hibs a very good team. You're not going to win anything at Hibs, but he made them a very good team. He was very poor at Bolton, but he's went to the biggest team in Scotland and won 5 league titles as a manager. Mm-hmm. You know, so that tells me, well, he's won 5 leagues. Gerrard's up here, spent £40 million, not won anything, but he's Steven Gerrard.
The names,
and I spoke. I'm not going to mention any names, but I spoke to a former Rangers player not that long ago, and I knew Rangers wanted to keep him, and I said to him, "Why did you leave?" And he said, "Well, he says I'm looking after the financial security of my family for the future, or do I lose out and just get to shake hands with Steven Gerrard every morning, just because of who Steven Gerrard is."
Yeah.
So he left.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. Gerrard will get... Now, you're seeing, and again, it was highlighted on match of the day. Frank Lampard's results haven't been great at Chelsea. He spent a lot of money, so he should, in theory, should be blowing teams away. But does he get any criticism on match of the day? No, because he's Frank Lampard. Okay, if that was a foreigner,
if it was only going to Solskjaer,
exactly, dog's abuse.
I agree.
And as I say, I think that's Gerrard's name will get him away with it. But I don't know if he'll get away with it if he doesn't win the league this season.
I think the league, it's the biggest season in Scottish football history, because Celtic, the whole that we've heard, 10 in a row is the Holy Grail, but Rangers want to stop it just as bad. One team's going to be disappointed. Whoever doesn't win the league, I think's gone. I think there's no doubt about that. I don't see Rangers sacking Gerrard, but I definitely see some.
I think they would sack him.
Do you?
Yeah. If
I
he
think let him walk well before they sack him, I think.
You think what? Sorry, Aaron, I missed that.
Oh, sorry, I was just saying. I think they'd let Gerrard walk well before they sack him.
But I don't know. I mean, obviously I don't know the guy. But if just say, for example, the same thing happens last season, this season, if Gerrard's 10 points behind with 5 games to go, I don't think he'd walk away. I think he would be sacked.
I think that's the big blip. That's the big blip that Rangers need to overcome, and that's where they will. I don't think they're favourites yet. I think they've definitely got it in their favour, but I don't think they're favourites yet because I've not seen enough against the other teams.
Well, put it this way, Scott. In season 21-22, Lennon and Gerrard both won't be in Old Firm games. One will be away, if not both.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. Right, we'll just touch on. I'll ask you a couple of questions just to close up. Who would be your kind of standout player from the game? Who would be your man of the match for the game?
Well, I think you've got to give it to Goldson.
Aye,
Goldson or Kamara and Callum McGregor for Celtic.
I'm going to go for Glenn Kamara. I think Glenn Kamara just strolled the game. I thought he just neat and tidy, as you say. I thought it was excellent. I'll ask this final question, and I want to ask. This is the final question. This is just for me. When it comes to May 2021, sitting here right now, who do you think will walk away with the championship? After that, I'm asking you after 10 games. I know, but I just.
Are you going to show this again in May to make one of us look bad?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm going to say, I'm just going to start. Rangers, it's what Rangers do from now till the next Old Firm game. That Rangers could go, if Rangers go on a wee run and play that Old Firm game at Ibrox the way I think they can, they could be a lot further in front than anybody. I think and that could be the difference.
Well, after the European game, Scott, they could be 7 points in front.
Yeah.
Because Celtic play the cup game against Aberdeen. Was it Aberdeen they play? Is it Hibs?
I think it's Hibs.
Hibs, is it? Right. So they could be 7 points by then. Mm-hmm. And this will be the first time Celtic have been chasing. There's such a big points gap like that.
But does that put more pressure on Rangers? If Rangers
no, get the points in the board, but pressure on Celtic.
Bujan Karen.
It'll be a dodgy one because after Christmas we'll start seeing things falling off and teams probably imploding. But right as we're sitting, I'd say Celtic are going to win it this year.
I'm gonna scoot on a limb and just say I think Rangers need to seriously improve against the other 10 teams. But I think if they do that and overcome this blip, I think it could be the year. And I think there is more to come for Celtic. I think there are a lot of Celtic players unhappy. I don't know if it's with the manager. I don't know if it's with the tactics. But certainly to me, that looked to me like a lot of Celtic players didn't want to be on that park on Saturday.
Right, absolutely.
But thanks very much to my 2 guests for coming on. Marc, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Your knowledge was remarkable. And Aaron as well, thanks very much. That was great. You were really, really good. First attempt, I really enjoyed it. Brilliant.
Cheers for having me.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for doing that, boys.
We'll see you next week, Scott.
Thanks definitely. Long. Thanks very much.
Take care. Nice to meet you, Aaron. Take care, buddy.
Later. Cheers.
Brilliant.
Cheers.
Bye.